Humankind's excessive use of fossil fuels causes major environmental problems, but these problems can be reduced if we use more non-polluting renewable sources of energy. The most common types of such clean and renewable energy sources are solar, wind, geothermal, hydro, and tidal power. Each has positive and negative aspects. Sunlight is very powerful and useful. We can use sunlight for cooking, heating, and for creating electricity. Special fuel cells, called solar cells, change sunlight into electricity. The first solar cells were expensive and inefficient. However, solar technology keeps improving, and the newest solar cells create electricity more efficiently and cheaply than before. Solar-powered cars and boats are growing in number. Japan has more than 4 million solar water heaters. Except for the pollution created while making the equipment for it, solar power itself produces no pollution. However, solar power is currently not very efficient in places without sufficient hours of sunlight. Humankind used to depend greatly on wind power, and is starting to depend on it again. In fact, it is the fastest growing source of energy in the world. Wind was used to make electricity in the 1800s, but cheap fossil fuels became more popular. When oil became expensive in the 1970s, companies in California developed wind farms, which are areas of land with many windmills. These first modern windmills could not make electricity cheaply and effectively, but wind power technology has recently improved, and now windmills are cheaper, quieter, and more efficient. Windmills must be built in places with sufficient wind. Opponents of wind power claim that windmills are ugly and that they often kill birds. Geothermal power plants use hot water and steam from the earth for heating buildings and making electricity. Japan and Iceland lead the world in using geothermal power. It heats more than half of the homes in Iceland. Geothermal power plants can only be built where sufficient heat from the inside of the earth comes to the surface. Hydropower comes from the movement of river water. Turbines used inside of dams use water movement to make electricity. The construction of dams destroys natural habitats, so hydropower has many opponents. Japan has built dams on 107 of its 109 major rivers and has seriously damaged many river habitats. Tidal power is another electricity source that uses water movement. Tidal power plants make electricity from the movement of tides. Tidal power is still not very common because the ocean's great power is difficult to control, and the construction of tidal power plants harms coastal habitats. France, Canada, Russia, and China have tidal power plants. Japan is seriously researching tidal power. Most governments and energy companies will unfortunately continue to depend on fossil fuels in the near future. Nonetheless, renewable energy sources, especially solar and wind power, are continuing to grow in popularity. Many Americans say they are willing to pay more for energy from renewable sources. To protect the environment, each country should switch to a variety of renewable energy sources that best meets its climatic and geographic features.